Hello class, I'm recording our YouTube lecture summary for the mental training program. As we discussed on our Google Meet class last Tuesday prior to Thanksgiving Day break, we talked about the requirements for the report, the reflection on the mental training program, and also called psychological skills training. So MTPs, PSTs are the subject for this lecture summary. So as we discussed in our Zoom class, we talked about appropriate topics. Most of you by now have submitted to the D2L discussion your topic. So remember, your topic must not be a research report. It must not be a summary or critique of an article. It must be an actual mental training program. So you are trying your very best to secure a book of interest which outlines and documents performance enhancement, a counseling therapeutic intervention, some sort of technique that will enhance performance, intervene between a crisis, or improve the quality of life. So you're looking for a book, an actual website, or if you found a webinar, you could certainly watch a webinar and report. So the only way you could miss this assignment would be to do a research report, not find an actual mental training program, and write a report or critique on a research article that you found in a journal or online. So hopefully that helps clarify. As I said in our Google Meet class, if I was a driving instructor and if I gave you driver training lessons and you passed the class, insurance companies would give you a 20% discount on your insurance rate because you are now perceived to be a well-trained, higher performing driver, defensive driving skills on the road. Dealing with mental training programs, we do not want you to get a lesser performance, but actually a greater performance. So for having completed a mental training program, we would like to think we could add a 20% improvement on your performance. So you're becoming a better, more improved athlete. So again, driver trainers will provide skills allowing you to be a defensive driver, and you will get a premium on your insurance rates. Very similar to if you complete a mental training program, you will get a premium on your mental skills, things that are applicable to your athletic performance. So hopefully that helps set the stage a little bit for what you are reporting on here for your final term paper. We did list a number of interesting topics which you can look at. We looked at stress management, anxiety, arousal control, deep breathing techniques. We talked about courage and confidence. We talked about acquiring leadership skills. We talked about mental imagery, visualization, your ability to put out a consistent effort, mental toughness, grit, determination, persistence, motivation. We talked about self-talk, building your confidence. We talked about mental preparation, how it's very important to shut off your busy day and allow time to prepare mentally for the big game and also for the practice. We talked about concentration, mental skills to narrow your focus of attention or expand your focus of attention based on the task at hand. So let's just see what else we may have covered here. We did talk about the grid, the decision grid. So we're trying to understand and select a mental training program. And in our selection grid, on one axis we have the mind, high stress, low or low anxiety. And on the other axis we had the body, or the somatic or physiological responses to stress. And we talked about the four grids and mental training programs that may be available to you in all four grids. And again, these are summarized in your second to last tab at the bottom of the content page on your D2L class. So if your mind is at ease and your body is at ease, in other words, low anxiety or psychological stress, low somatic or physiological stress, We talked about things like meditation, music, Zen, getting mentally prepared, time management, skills that could be selected from the low box. If you are in the high psychological or cognitive stress box, but your body was not tense, we talked about increasing your confidence, your concentration, attention control training, goal setting, mental practice, mental rehearsal, visualization, perhaps some sports hypnosis, working on changing your brain waves, cognitive behavior therapy, visual motor behavior rehearsal, anything in that box, mental training techniques, psychological skills training that would help you mentally prepare and calm your mind and put your mind at ease. The third box is the low anxiety mind box, but high physiological arousal somatic tension box. Here, autogenic training techniques such as progressive muscle relaxation, exercise, deep breathing techniques, acupuncture, these type of reflexology therapeutic massage techniques may help you relax the body. And in the fourth box, we have an athlete who is presented with high cognitive mental anxiety, high physiological somatic arousal, and here we have to have holistic mind-body connection techniques linking the mind and the body, such techniques as Tai Chi or Qigong or yoga or biofeedback. We mentioned the float tank, psychocybernetics, the power of positive thinking. So these were the bases for understanding and selecting a mental training program. We concluded our lecture by giving you a seasonal plan for mental training programs. So we talked about mental skills have a learning curve very similar to physical skills. It's called the power law of practice. You put in some time, you gain or acquire physical skills. That time and practice is also required to gain mental skills. So mental skills, like physical skills, have a learning curve. And there's a seasonal flow, a timing, where the athlete must work on their mental training programs. So we have that general period or that preseason period where you identify mental skills that need to be remediated or added to your mental toolbox of mental skills. Then we have the preseason period, that time just before you would attend a training camp. Then we have a pre-game or pre-practice period where you're in that period preparing to practice or play. Then we talked about in-game or in-practice mental training strategies for those episodic flare-ups of uncertainty, anxiety, tension, apprehension that could appear in an actual game. Then we talked about post-game, post-practice debriefing or relaxation, techniques you can use to relax and refocus and reshift your priorities after the competition has ended. Then we talked about off-season or out of season, that transition period, which in today's athletes is a very short period because we have traditional seasons, non-traditional seasons, club seasons, we're competing right around the clock. But in that transition phase, you need to have time to unload, unwind, and perhaps some of your mental training programs that you select or looking at would come from that, quote, transition or unloading or off-season period. So remember those different time sequences. That may help you understand and select a mental training program for this assignment. I did post a number of references for you on your D2L. We talked about Maxwell Maltz, Psychocybernetics, the Power of Positive Thinking. We talked about Dr. Bob Rotella, Golf is a Game of Confidence. We talked about Dr. Dennis Waitley, The Psychology of Winning. We talked about Dr. James Lair, mental toughness training. Dr. Ralph Vernacchia, it does matter whether you win or lose. That psychological extra effort that winners have So we don't just show up to play, we show up to win. It's a different psychology. So you have some mental training programs to look at. I believe we also listed Terry Orlick, the Canadian sports psychologist who worked with the Canadian downhill ski teams. His mental training program is called Pursuit of Excellence. So you have a number of resources. You have your classmates list, so you're going to have a very interesting array of books, websites, and webinars that you can use moving forward in your athletic career, your coaching career, your leadership careers, your teaching careers. To complete this assignment, you need to provide me the name of the book, the name of the website, the name of the webinar. Give me a 2 to 3 page reflection telling me how this intervention, this performance enhancement technique, will actually change the performance lives of the athletes that you're looking at. So I hope this lecture summary helps prepare your mental training program. And our last lecture will be a Zoom or a Google Meet talking about athletic injuries, give you a chance to summarize our class, ask any questions, summarize your class discussions, and make sure that you have all the assignments done moving down the stretch.